So there is no agreement at all with them.
The connection is here of opening the document, opening the accounts themselves. It's an agreement.
Jay, do you have an agreement with the water you get at home? You're a customer. You're billed.
No, I'm imagining if it is, the Water Act has that arrangement where you can supply bulk water as a WSP to another WSP.
Yeah.
Or you supply as a bulk water provider. So in that arrangement, there is a provision for an agreement.
Yeah. You see, the Water Act came way after we have been already supplying these places. Because the Gatundu example, that is from Ngedu in the 1974 Ngedu. But I mean, if it's for good order, it would be nice for us to create new agreements. We would do that. But we've seen no need for it so far. Yeah. And actually, the Water Act, Chair, I wish we could get time to interact with yourself or maybe the relevant committee. There are a lot of provisions that are unconstitutional with respect to the devolved function of water. And some of those, in fact, speak to the second query. When you look at even how the tariffs are set, like WASREB wants us to pay them 1.7 billion and to charge 4%, it cannot, it takes away the authority of the devolved entity in playing their mandate in the law. And remember that Water Act, I think it has been a bit controversial. So I think at the COG, the relevant committee is trying to engage, but I'll follow that up because we're really victims of all of that, Chair.
So I think you asked us, what can we do for you as a Senate? I think this is one matter that they clerk, because it is a communication that was sent to WASREB, and the amount involved is huge, 547 million. So I think we can intervene as a committee on this.
Yes, thank you.
We do a communication to WASREB on this matter. Clerk.
Chair.
Yes.
My question was regarding the deactivation that was done. So I'm just wondering whether it was done after the audit process. And also feel the CEO, many explanations should have been done to the auditors before, or, instead of, being done during this process, So I feel, there are many other things that we have even tackled before. We didn't have to tackle them here. But then just the deactivation, I was just wondering whether it was done after the audit process.
How is deactivation done? Deactivation is done this way. Take an example of you have apartments and you have realized that your tenants are not paying for water. So you amalgamate your accounts to one account. So you are left with one active account. The other accounts are enrolled. So that now you start charging your customers direct, then you pay the water company for that water. This is something which has been happening all along, not the 2023-24 financial year now. It has been happening in the past. So the system has this. That's why we have written this course, which tells you active account D and the enrolled account this.
I think this query just relates to the communication at that time and not understanding what these things mean between ourselves, if you ask me. And again, the system is available for that checking to be done, Chair. Because 7,000 is compared to 10,000 is a very big number. And then also those in application stage. The smaller 465, but still it's that understanding. And I would want to know which officers were engaging at that point would have avoided this. And I think the management response should have had this as well. How it stayed to the final, I don't understand. Because at that stage, access to the system was still available to the auditors. They could have accessed and confirmed, yes, we can see this is D. And in fact, this D has been amalgamated to create this new account. And it's happening a lot with a lot of the apartments and such places. So, Chair, I think this is one of those that remained unnecessarily. This should have been, it's very straightforward, Chair, if you ask me.
Maybe Mark, I can hear from you, because I think that means during the audit process, I think a lot more communication needs to happen so that you pick all the necessary information you require.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the audit process enumerated under the Public Audit Act provides the client the opportunity to respond to any queries that are raised. During the audit, we are raising these queries with expecting responses. And after the audit, we also have the exit meeting, where during the meeting we are discussing the issues that are likely to appear. And if those are responded to then the Chair, those issues are considered addressed. We then do a management letter. Now this is in writing, where we say these are the issues that we have raised, please respond. And where the response is not given, Chair, that issue then goes finally to the draft report. Now, the draft report basically shows these are the issues that are going to appear in your report. Do you have any other, do you have any supporting documents perhaps to address these issues? And it's at that point then that the report appears in the certificate of the Auditor General. So, Chair, there is adequate opportunity to respond, and where that response is not given, that's when it appears in the audit report. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe the Finance Director can confirm and clarify on this specific response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Finance Director, the CEC Water, you must be well acquainted with the PFM. I think section, is it 184? Legal. That requires continuous monitoring of financial performance of entities below you, and particularly the audit queries and the audit process. Proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. We did provide our response to the queries in the management letter and the draft audit report. The 10,191 accounts that are mentioned in the report, what we've printed and attached there, it is the same 10,000 relating to the same period, 2023-2024. So even what appears there as account status is for the period 2023-2024. This is something that the auditors can confirm should they access the system again, and it's still intact. Thank you.
So it seems that you're going to have a back and forth again on this matter. So I think we can just say that this query has to be looked at in detail between yourselves and the auditor, so that in the next financial year we get better communication on some of these things. So let's move to...
Yeah. What was the revenue loss as a result of this? Because this query, as we said, it impacts material uncertainty, and I think that we are handling it casually. Because that substantive difference between the auditor and the county, I think it's not a light one, because when you look at it in terms of the accounts, that is 7,000 accounts that are in dispute. In fact, there are 7,000 accounts, because the governor is saying there was 2,695 that were those are the only ones that were active. So that means that the bulk of what the auditor has captured here as active accounts that were not billed, is there an estimation of what that could have led in terms of revenue loss? Because it will inform how we handle this issue when you get to material uncertainty, because there are two approaches. One is go with the auditor's take, which is those 7,031 accounts that are in dispute were actually just not billed and they were active, in which case there will be revenue loss that must be accounted for. Or go with the story of the governor that these 731 accounts have been disconnected, which then will bring us into the question of how do we try and, fill the gap for this in terms of revenue loss, which is justified, to get new accounts that then can be able to answer the question of cash flow. I don't know whether you're seeing my sense, because it directly impacts the query on material uncertainty. And we have to go with one story, Chair. We have to go with either the story of the auditor or the story of the governor on this particular query, 1.3. Otherwise, then we will glaze over the material uncertainty. It's a P&L question. That then we will be tied again to what you'll see about 8 billion on non-revenue water.
The response done to the auditor was clear that from the list of 10,192 stated, 7,010 discontinued the enrolled, hence will not be billed. And we gave that same explanation even then. Why it carried on, I can't understand, because we gave that explanation and the system was available, to be accessed. I think the direction you give on now moving from now, that they can come and look at it again, is good, because the steps that the auditor has read are steps known to all of us. But how a query remains there when you have explained and you have shown and you're available to give the data it completely beats me. I don't understand why. I don't understand. Because that's the response I've read out that was given. At the point of receiving that response, they could have said, no, we want to come and look at the system. Just to resolve it, because that is the essence of an audit, isn't it? And that's the stage it should have been done, Chair.
Chair, perhaps as the auditor is going to come into this, because there are two issues here we're going to look at: the issue of material uncertainty and the issue of non-revenue water, which is at 51%. And if you look at that in terms of absolute value, it's over 8 billion. That's not small amount of money. Auditor, were the 10,192 accounts, did they receive water? Let's walk a step back. Because they could be active, but they're not receiving water. For instance, when you see when the governor attempted here to say that these 731 were discontinued, basically it means that they did not receive water. In your view, did all of them receive water?
Thank you, Chair. Our expectation is that because they were active, they were receiving water.
So you see the stalemate, Governor?
No, but we said they're not active. You see, if it's not active, it's not active.
I think the way forward, honorable members.
It's a D, the system says it's D, we printed out it's D, we answered and explained to you. Now, if you insist it's active, does it become active?
That's why we were saying you sample them. Just sample the accounts.
So, auditor, what you can do, sample of a few accounts and go and recheck and come back to us in 14 days. 14 days, to be fair to them.
But even as we do that, as a Senate committee, and you're doing oversight, maybe you should give us clarity or direction on what happens on something that is materially should not be in a report. That information has been provided, an answer has been given, because you're also oversighting the Auditor General, that this audit query should not have appeared completely. So what happens when the auditor ignores information that is given on a specific query? What happens?
Thank you,
Because
Chair.
also the auditor can be wrong. You remember there's a time we came for an audit. I don't know what matter it was. It was SG. The issue of tankers. Tankers. And they said, they almost made it look like we have how many?
2.4 billion.
You remember that issue, and it was a material mistake by the auditor, but nothing happens. So
Can
it'll
I
be
help?
good for, as we move forward, for also everyone to know they have a responsibility, to
Can I help,
follow those
Governor?
steps.
Because I am also audited. And we go through this every single year. I remember there was a time when the auditor was insisting that we should not disclose in our books how much money we expect from government under the law. Because they're saying we are over budgeting and the revenues are not matching the budget. But when you sit with the officers from the Auditor General and you exchange correspondence, you will tell them you object to this being like this or stated like this, and then they will say, no, this is the reason why we're doing. You go through that process with them during the audit process, and you keep record. Because these matters cannot emerge. Of course, they can make mistakes.
That's why I've
but it
read
is the responsibility of the entity that is being audited. You can demonstrate that you've provided documents. You can demonstrate that you disagree with the auditor's view by the correspondence that you exchange during the audit process.
That's why I've shown you the letter we wrote on that issue.
That's what I'm saying. So beyond that, really, I don't know what your expectation would be, Governor.
No, the committee should have a provision, as you give your report, also to sanction the auditor. Yes.
Chair, Honorable Chair.
Yes, I mean, I think we did that. When we did the Public Audit Act, I was in Parliament. And the question that has always been there of who audits the auditor, came up. Of course, the National Assembly gets an entity, because everybody must have a responsibility, These days, you find a sensational headline, either from the Controller of Budget or the Auditor General. Then when you look at the crux of the matter, we're just eroding all public trust in institutions, So I was just saying it as a, by the way, it's not a material thing. But when we've given an answer, in all honesty, you have access to the system, yet you don't do your part, something needs to be done as well, Chair.
Fair enough. So I think the auditors, I give you the 14 days, go and re-verify the information and come back to us on that query. But I'll give you an opportunity to say something. Auditor.
Thank you, Chair. What I want to mention is that sometimes you can include a report in the management letter, and then the client responds without giving any support to that. Now, in the case that we have here, you will find that the data that we have been provided, we have received some analysis on the same, which has been done from the response in February 2025. So if this analysis had actually been done then it would have been provided then, and the auditor would have reconfirmed. So I doubt that this information was provided then. The figures could have been provided, yes, but the data to support those figures may not have been provided.
I've directed that you go and reconfirm and come back to us in 14 days. Yeah. So let's proceed to query on long outstanding trade and other payable. This is almost similar to that, to what we have covered, but it is about people who have not paid 4.1 billion. Auditor?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Long outstanding trade and other payables. The statement of financial position, and as disclosed in note 29 to the financial statements, reflects trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 5 billion 344 million 30,050. However, included in the balance are trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 4 billion 144 million 716,223, which had been outstanding for more than 180 days. In the circumstances, the accuracy, validity, completeness of
More Radio 88.2 FM. We are in charge. More Radio 88.2 FM. We
Yes, the second issue is the aspect of the estimate. Whether the estimate is usually lower, or how do you ensure that the estimate is maybe higher than the actual reading? Just trying to make sure it's higher, it's punitive, so that these customers can maybe come to the office to complain or something.
Now,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
you can proceed.
The Chair.
The second bit may be one of the solution.
Uptake of self-meter reading, people are taking it up, particularly those who have gate locked or those who live in the taking it up, particularly those who have gate locked or those who live in the informal settlements, where it's a bit difficult for us to assess the meters. So people are taking it up, and we also go to verify. Once you send your reading, we also, after 1 or 2 months, we go and verify. On the issue of estimates, we use 3 months actual estimate, actual readings which were done in that account before to make our estimates. And just like what His Excellency said, these estimated accounts, because I had also a member saying it's a loss of revenue. When you estimate, actually some of them pay based on those estimates. So we estimate and get also revenue out of it. Thank you.
His concern was through the chair that if the estimates you do it higher so that they feel the pinch of paying more than when they open and then you read the meters. So have you considered making it higher?
Thank you so much. That's a new area we are going to explore of estimating so that somebody can show up. Yes. Thank you.
I think let's proceed to 1.2 and 1.3 at the same time.
Chair, just on that, any action taken by government must seem fair. Unless it's a penalty that is passed as a law, overestimating, if any person takes you to court, it will be very difficult to explain why you've done an additional charge as opposed to what this person has been paying, unless it's an actual penalty. So we can actually pass a penalty in the county government that then will serve the same purpose, but legally and for fair administrative action, you need to be able to explain how have you come up with this, and our 3 months, weighted average is something that is